Alrighty, hey everybody. Dun, 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 dun. Welcome to the show. And, goodness gracious, what a day, what a day. All right, so we've got a number of things on tap today, and we can kind of jump through some stuff and talk about it here. We've got, my goodness, we've got a couple powerful topics, I guess you might say. There's a $2 trillion software comeback. We saw, the SaaS apocalypse probably overblown. Last week we saw $2 trillion wiped off of software stocks in the largest non-recessionary drawdown in 30 years for software. Investors kind of panicked. Kind of thinking that AI is going to destroy the entire software industry. But this week, software stocks are back to ripping back. Datadog up like 15%, ServiceNow up like 4, Unity up 5, and JP Morgan says the market kind of priced in a worst case AI disruption, but it's not happening right now, sweetheart. So, and this is looking like it's like through 2027, and the earnings season just keeps crushing it with 12% growth. So the panic was kind of overblown. It was just an excuse to sell stocks, I think. We're seeing the Dow breaking through 50,000 for the first time ever, reaching new high records. But, retail sales are kind of disappointing. The Dow just surpassed $50,000 for the first time ever, and it's hitting those new all-time highs, but the S&P 500 is below its all-time high. But retail sales came in flat for December. Expected 0.4%. Consumer spending slowed sharply. So we have this paradox. Stocks at record highs, but consumer just keeps weakening. At least the lower end consumer. We talked this morning about Chipotle seeing strength in the higher end consumer. And that top 20% income is accounting for almost 60% of all the spending that's out there. So at what point does that start stretching into that upper band? I don't know. We're just these are all just kind of crazy things happening out there in the market. So I don't know. Where's it all going to go? Not sure. But remember, all trading involves a substantial risk of loss. Past performance not necessarily indicative of future results. This presentation is intended to be informational, educational, fun, and entertaining. Not a recommendation to be buying or selling any financial instrument, including stocks, options, bonds, forex, futures, cryptos, treasuries. If you trade them, you might lose money. Be careful out there. I say it all the time. So be careful out there. You might lose some money. And, typically I just kind of dive through the market a little bit. Today, just kind of hanging right below all-time highs. On the futures, cash index hanging right there below all-time highs. On Nasdaq, we're just kind of hanging in the middle here. It's kind of lower, like big tech not coming back very strong right now. That software may be overdone. So where does that leave us? We still have downside risk. That's what we have right now. And we could spark a bigger correction very easily. I think we've kind of stretched things up. We've been taking a rest since all the way back in October for Nasdaq, but we don't seem to be pulling it together and getting going yet. And that's kind of the what I see is going on right now. So since I'm here in Jacksonville, not in my normal setup. I do have a dinner I've got to go to at the top of the hour. We're probably just going to jump into requests and just start pumping them out. So this may be an abbreviated show today. If so, one ticker per person per request, all capital letters. Something I can type in TradingView, be quick. I have a laptop, so I may things may get wonky if I'm typing a bunch. If I lose internet, that'll probably be the end of the show. So I'll try to keep up with you. We probably won't jump into and ask me anything today. We'll do that next week, of course, or do that. I'll do it. Next week. I'll do it. Ask me anything. So, TTD. I'm on a laptop, not my normal system, so bear with me. Do the best I can here as we chart this stuff. So we have a high, we have a low, we have a high, And there's the potential bottoming, but it could come on down to 22. So this is one, software apocalypse. We're in the bottoming zone, but it could go a little lower. Be careful. I wouldn't be buying the dip yet. I'd wait for a bottom to show up, some kind of move up and retrace, hold a higher low before I was any kind of confident on this. Last bounce just kept bleeding down to where we are now. So yeah, TTD, be careful. STM. And let's see. I'm just gonna do some high-level analysis on most of these. So we got the low, we got the high, we got the low, and a potential resistance at 40. This is a downtrend, a three-wave retrace made up of three-wave retraces. I would be very careful here. And there's a gap down right there also. So this is going to be a sketchy zone to try to poke through right there on STM. Next up, international paper. International paper of the, I was going to say doodle paper. Let's see. We've got the high. We got the low. Resistance right there. If we can get the close above it, we could push on up to 64, but zooming out just a little bit. Looking at the 3-day, this has been a very firm top right up there at 61, so I'm not sure it's going to break out. Like this may be, there's a firm top there that's been there for years. So that stretches all the way back into 2018, 2021, and we've been up there recently. And if we come up again, I don't know if we can poke through and get to the target, quite honestly. So if you're gonna go long here, I would watch that triple top we've got in place. If you're trying to go long, I would wait for the close above the 618, and if we bounce off and go down, this can easily come back to the lows, what we've seen around 26. So XLP next up, and yeah, what a rocket ship right there. Consumer staples, that's where supposedly money rotated out of software and into consumer staples. Flight to safety, they said. And that's what we're seeing in consumer staples. That's, when the economy looks rough, what do people have to buy? Consumer staples. We have to buy the same stuff we buy all the time. And, if you don't know what it is that constitutes consumer staples, you come down here, you click on the More About This Fun button, and we look at it. It's Walmart, Costco, Procter & Gamble, Coca-Cola, Philip Morris, PepsiCo, Colgate, Mondelez, cigarettes, Monster drinks, Target, Kroger, Cisco. That's food, lots of food, and stuff you gotta, have to live on. So these things do good when things are crunched up, and we're seeing that go ripping here the last couple of days. So XLP, as far as where the high is, next target 90. Otherwise, watch out for a retrace. This thing can move violently. Look at that. Look at those violent moves the last couple months. And next up, TER. Charadyne. I was on the 3-day there. So let's see. Here's the high. Here's the low. Popping in here. Watch for a 396. That's just one straight rip higher. Probably due for a pullback. Probably. DPZ. Target is down at 250, I think. Yeah. Jump up tie frames. So this is, what shocks everybody. This has been in a correction since back here in 2021 and has not gone higher and has the price pattern. That's A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Probably going to bottom down here around 250. Here's the targets. Target. And rolling on down. Tyson, and get on some of those consumer staples here. And here you go. Move up, retrace, move up. That's where we're sitting. Looking for 75 on the upside. Right around there to the upside. All right, next up, Joby. JOBY. So this is a interesting chart, interesting stock. We've kind of topped out, and we're back to kind of this SPAC price situation or whatever it was, IPO SPAC thing, and we're just kind of hanging right there at it. This can easily go back to the lows. This was a 3-wave corrective off the bottom. We don't know the chart before it went public. This was a corrective type move. Continuation would be lower. And there's not a lot of lower to go before we get down to single digits. I mean, single digits are just right below us, and then below single digits. So I'm just not sold on this being the end all be all to solve all the problems of traffic and congestion. I don't know that our society wants a bunch of flying drone things all over the place. And it certainly doesn't fit in with the environment of the way the FAA regulations are. So, Amphenol covered that this morning. APH, I remember that one from this morning. We did the retrace, coming back up. Come on now, don't hang up on me now. Let's see, do we get the close above? There's the high, there's the low. No, we need that close above that 150 to kick off the 173 targets up there. And GLW, Corning. Yeah, Jack and I talked about this, and I talked about this kind of being a sleeper of an AI data center trade, and then somebody else caught onto it and it ripped. Maybe they listened to the show and wrote something about it, but article came out like Bloomberg, and this thing started taking off. It's due for a retrace though, so I would be careful here. Has potential for a bigger retrace to come in on Corning. Let's see, HSAI. And it's not going to be one I've looked at, probably. We've got this pullback, 1, 2, 3, move up, retrace. That's healthy. So if you just went off of this pullback right there, we're looking for a $30 upside. But if you're going off the bigger pullback back here, here's the high, here's the low. 34 up here, 37 above that. And then probably what I was looking for. Now this trade actually triggered all the way back here in December. Did a double bounce. So these trades can take a little while to play out on the daily chart. And let's see. OKLO. That's cool. Everything's like slowing down. Love it. If there's anything I can kill. No, there's nothing I can kill. Oh, maybe I'll X that out. And, oh, let's kill off that too. Maybe my computer won't crash. I'm on a laptop, like I said. And yeah, it looked like I freed up some memory. All right, maybe this will speed back up now. And so Oklo, we're on the roadmap line. We've done the pullback. The narrative, around the fact that they, I guess nuclear energy was hyped, and then everybody kind of started looking at it like they don't report any revenue, they would lose money, and we've pulled back. Can we get the, can the story, the narrative shift back around and we go ripping again, or is this due for a bigger correction? I don't really have the answer for that, but if we turn higher, get back above 124, 225 be the target, but with the way this is shaping up, it looks kind of head and shoulders-y. The head is very big compared to the shoulders. This could take a big spill down in the low 20s, maybe even maybe even the high teens. I'd be careful on that one. We'd be talking just, I guess, in case somebody can't tell what I'm talking about on head and shoulders, it'd be something like this: little shoulder, head, little shoulder. Now, the way this plays out, usually the head to the neckline is the move. It's still being kind of slow. I may have to refresh. Just need to reload TradingView, I think. Let's see what we get. Maybe kill off a couple tabs. And So there you go. Oklo could, like I said, could take a spill down here to like 25, maybe even the teens. That's just if the head and shoulders play out. So I'd be careful. That's I mean I'm always saying that, like, be careful, but that just looks a little sketchy on that pattern. So Celsius, one of my favorites. I'm doing another retrace. So we've made a initial move up. Valentine's Day sale is on for TradingView. You get 80% off right now if you don't have a TradingView account yet. Here's the pullback. We want to see it hold support and pop higher again. And this bigger pullback we have in place here from this high to this low. 124 on the upside here. That's Celsius. And next up, BABA. BABA. So we've got the pullback. We triggered the entry already. Close above the 618. Be looking for 200 on the upside here. If we get the resumption of the trend for BABA and CRM. We got the push down into lows, and I actually have, save this, switch over to this one and type in CRM. We're in the target. Like, I was expecting it to kind of find support down in the zone. We're there. We're there, sweetheart. So look for this to hold and actually get some positive momentum going. We got to fill a couple gaps, get back above the roadmap line, but then this pattern could kick off a much larger upside target around 500 to 600. That's CRM in a nutshell there. Tilray, this looks bad to me. So I don't know why everyone plays this on thinking that this is going to be some kind of major U.S. and that's a reverse split. So this is just a giant dumpster fire here. Dumpster fire of crap. Big decline, reverse split, more decline, dumpster fire. I play the stinger if I had it, but I don't. Everybody plays it like on the adoption of U.S. weed, but they have zero exposure to U.S. markets, and that market's already, like, the U.S. markets are already pretty full with people that are in the U.S. markets, and they're not public companies; they're just small companies. I don't think Tilray can come to the U.S. and can compete as a Canadian company. So I'm not sure that they're ever going to be anything. I'd definitely be cautious. Apple oven got APP, got smacked in the face. Nice bounce if we can take this back higher. Be looking at upside potential 814 on Apple oven, DLR. So this is part of a bigger chop going, right? We've kind of been sideways since back in November 24. So that's been a year and 3 months so far. And if you look at that swing down, if we can, there's no trend, in other words. It's just sideways. We're just chopping sideways. Lower highs, higher lows. It's a giant watermelon seed squeeze, essentially. And until we really break out of this, I don't really expect it to do anything other than fill on out this watermelon seed squeeze. That's just kind of the way it operates, like down. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and probably 5, and then we may bounce out or it may break down. That's just, so we probably got, that's the first move, the second move, the third move, the fourth move, probably find resistance here. The fifth move, probably come back in here, and then do we bounce or do we break down? That's the question, and I don't have the answer at this point. This is the most unreliable price pattern I know of. So, Hurricane Electric, next up. Or Hawaiian Electric, sorry. Hawaiian Electric. And we're back at this bounce high we got from 24. If we can break up, it has the gap to fill up to 33. If we find resistance and turn back down, it can easily go to the lows we've had once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6. Been there 6 times, and it's been a slow grind back higher, but I'd watch out for another flush on Hawaiian Electric, FCX. 80 is still the target. I expected a pullback on the way. We didn't get it yet, so we may pull back a little bit more. Could be back into the 50s before we take a trip up into the 70 to 80 zone up there on FCX. Next up, John Dia. So the next fib line up is 604. And we just gone ripping, so watch out for the pullback. It's going to be violent when it finally occurs. It's going to be violence. That's for sure. Service now, it was up like 4% off the lows. Still pretty beat down, but funny thing is, I drew that. That was kind of a watermelon seed squeeze thing, broke down, and that's like what can happen on the other stock we were just looking at, like breakdown and flush. A, B, C, that's an ideal place to bounce. Further support down at 87. It could flush on at 87. We're going to have to see it bounce, get back up through the roadmap line at 154 to set up at 260. But the bias is down right now. This is a falling knife, but you can't necessarily catch the falling knife, and the falling knife can just bounce and reverse on you too. So there's no safe play here on now, at least as far as I'm concerned. Halo. Biotech, be careful here. Be careful. 3-wave down, target 82.69, which we're right below, and then above that 85 for Halo. Alcoa. So I had this breaking out, going through the roadmap line here and getting a bigger upside, and I still think that we could see that this was a big measured bounce essentially. And if this plays out, we could see it rally on up to the 400 area up here. It's a pretty large and in charge upside. AU. And potential to retrace back to the roadmap line here. Right there. And PEGA. There's the resistance. We turn down off of it. Let's take a look what we got. There's the low, there's the high. We're at the 618. If it's going to hold here, it could kick off a bigger upside move. Probably be in the 92 area with the target. That's the conservative target. 117 would be the more aggressive target if it can get continuation. Now, the trigger on that could still be the 618 bounce, like a move back up through 54 to kick off this. Falling knife, it could drop lower. So if we get below 35, we're probably coming on down to 25 would be my guess, back filling this gap. So again, be careful on that. And Charlie Victor Sierra. CVS. This is the stock I originally did the roadmap line trading on. Funny enough, it retraced very deeply, move up, bounce, move up, and right now, if this 3-wave kind of thing just plays out, resistance at 96, and if it can develop into something bigger, it'd be great. But here's the high, here's the low at the roadmap line. Move back through 79, kicks us up for 87, 89, and then that 96 resistance. And if we can get on through 110, possibly 130, but then that'd probably kick off a bigger retrace. That'd be back to an all-time high on CVS Pharmacy, CVS Pharmacy, PFE. Let's see, PFE. So the potential to break higher here. Gotta get through this high. Looks like we played out the small time frame. So this could be a 618 bounce here. This is a big correction. Big move up. Big correction. 618. If we can actually stick this landing, get through this 3-day roadmap line. Next resistance is up at 42, 41, 42. And we get above that 75 up here. 75. Right up in there. So there's the stack of resistance here. We have rallied it here, and then from there to there. All right. UNH. And ooh, pushing into the resistance or support. Pushing into the support. I just want to see it come back up to the roadmap line, get above it, and kick off the bigger move. That's, you know, we're holding in the zone here. I thought for a long time we were going to get a retrace to there. I talked about it for months. You know, after we popped up in here in September, I thought we were going to need a retrace back in this area and fill that gap. That's what we've kind of done, but now we need to bounce to confirm the upside. So there's the move up, there's the retrace. Now we need another move up and a retrace potential, or just a move up through the roadmap line to confirm we're done on the downside for now. On UNH, AV, and get the right letters in the right order. AV, and false start. Return to the start line. Upside still 457. Support down here. That's what we got on AV. Just a sideways chop. UBA bleeding off. Can they convert into some other revenue stream? Cyber taxi. It's real. It's here. My truck drove me all the way from Knoxville to Florida, and I barely did a thing except charge it. It's just crazy to me. There's the low. There's the high. We're looking for this support right around 70. If we can hold it and bounce, 107 potential. And see URA. And just chopping in here. 64 is still the target. I have a chunk of this with 65 calls sold for March. See if I get called out or if I keep that going. Still bullish. Still looking for that 64 and 67 upside on URA. Sunrun just been paused here after we got into that resistance. I had mentioned before that we might find resistance here, and that's pretty much what we found. These resistance tops here, we have not been able to push through. So watch out for the downside off of this, essentially. And USAR. Hey, Melinda. So there's the move down, there's the retrace, and if this is continuation, we can see a move down to $7. It did trigger the long, but no, it did not trigger the long. It popped up, it did not close, or did it close? Let's see, we're gonna have to dive in a little closer here. Dive in a little closer. It did get a close above the 618. It's barely, but and that high is not on the high, so let's see if it makes any difference here. Yeah, we're still closed above 54 if we're gonna keep it going. So if we break down through the roadmap line, indication we're coming down to 7 or 8. If we maintain in this area, break back through this high, probably going to 54. Just the long and the short of it. ACN. There's no sign that's the bottom, although that was my downside target. First move down, retrace, second move down. Might poke a little lower on down to the 210 area. But looking for this to hold and go higher from here. And ACN, WBD, Warner Brothers Discovery. So this is kind of stuck at this buyout price. If we can get on through, this has a much larger upside potential. And we're talking about something up in the 120 to 400 area. And I think they should hold on to Warner Brothers properties. I think it's valuable. Should just do licensing with everybody, but that would be the upside potential right there. You know, maybe they don't have the cash flow to make it work, but That would be the upside potential there. Warner Brothers Discovery play for Dave and Bustos. Chart looks like a busta. It's no trend. Kind of a downtrend actually. May go lower, back down to 5. Yikes. LEU. I've never even been in a Dave and Buster's. Don't got one in Knoxville. LEU. So we'll get the return to the roadmap line. We got the bounce. Didn't get above the 618. Need to get a close above that 346 area to get the continuation at 511. That's what we need. All right, everybody. I do have dinner I need to go to, so I thank you for coming today. And yeah, I guess I'll see you next week. I'll be back same bat time, same bat channel in the morning. Do the regular morning show, and then I'll probably hop in the truck and be on in Knoxville. So any of my trades that come out tomorrow may or may not happen on schedule. So I do apologize. And I'll be back home Thursday. Thursday will be a normal day. Back to it. Back to the grind. So have a great day, everybody. Have a great week. Be careful. And see you tomorrow. Bye for now.